Hi everyone, Jude here with Estate Move. So in this video, we're going to talk about some of the key components that make the London property market very unusual and different for foreign buyers. Over the years, we've worked with countless foreign buyers, and one of the difficult things that they really need to wrap their head around is all the key components it takes to actually own a property in London, especially as a foreigner. One of the things that really take foreign buyers by surprise is the fact that typically buyers are not being represented by agents in the UK. They find it quite unusual that the housing market is really set up to only work on behalf of the sellers. Buyers in other countries are usually used to both the seller and the buyer being represented by an agent, and both having a trusted responsibility to look after their client's best interest. Doing things like spending time with you, organising and comparing viewings, giving constructive feedback, managing expectations, providing you with market knowledge and really helping you find what you are looking for. Without an agent representation, buyers are having to navigate the entire process by themselves. You have to go online, contact 10, sometimes 20 agents who can only show you what's in their inventory. You have to educate yourself on the costs and fees that you may not be aware of. You may also be considering one neighbourhood without being aware of other neighbourhoods that suit your criteria. All while there's no one really supporting you and looking out for your best interest and really finding a property that's within your budget that suits your criteria. Most buyers don't have somebody doing the research and looking out for them to inform them of other locations and neighbourhoods. All most buyers really get is the agent trying to push the property that they have, even if it doesn't match your criteria entirely. The second thing to consider when purchasing property in London is the concept of leasehold versus freehold. Again, this is something that most foreign buyers are not used to and will need to be factored into your budget when purchasing a property. A leasehold property means that your property is one of several in the building. And so, with owning a leasehold, it means that you are going to be paying additional charges, such as service charges and ground rent to the freeholder of the land. You also share communal areas with other units, such as flats in the building. There will also be a lease that will govern what it is you can and can't do in the property. So leasehold and freehold is definitely something you need to understand when buying a property in London. The third thing to consider when buying a property in London is what type of building structure you want to live in. In the UK, we have converted terraced flats and purpose-built flats, also known as new builds. These are your two main options. A converted terraced flat is one that was originally a single family home, but has been split into flats over time. These properties have historic characteristics and fine details. But the downside is the room layout and configuration might not be the best because the building has been converted from a house into a flat. The other choice is a purpose-built block, which is usually a newer building built for the sole purpose of a block of flats. These types of properties have a more balanced and logical layout, built precisely to be a flat residence. So that is something to consider when thinking about what type of property to purchase. The fourth concept that most foreign buyers are not aware of is stamp duty. Stamp duty is a tax on property purchases and is usually in the range of 7 to 12% of the property price. And if you are planning to own the property in an offshore vehicle, you may need to pay an additional 3%. This is important to calculate into the budget because you cannot add stamp duty to the cost of the mortgage. The stamp duty needs to be paid up front at the time of completion of the transaction. The fifth thing to consider is the stage of making an offer. If you are not working with a buyer agent, you are going to have to do your own due diligence, figure out what type of offer you want to make on the property. You will need to figure out if the property is over, under, or fairly priced. Then, if your offer is accepted, you will need to get a solicitor for the conveyance process. The conveyance process consists of the solicitor ensuring that you have all of the title work done, and all the things you are going to need to do to make sure the title can be transferred legally to you. The title is an intangible construct, representing a bundle of rights to a piece of property. The sixth thing to bear in mind is the concept of exchange and completion. Exchange of contracts is the point at which the buyer pays a deposit, and the sale or purchase contract becomes legally binding. Completion is when the balance of the payment for the property is passed over to the seller's solicitor and ownership transfers to the buyer. In the UK, either party can pull out after exchange of contracts. However, there are financial penalties for doing so for the party that does, which is something most foreign buyers are not used to. Usually in other countries, a buyer will sit and write a legally binding offer with their agent and pay a deposit at the time the offer is accepted, which means you have two committed parties that aren't going to back out of the deal. So anyway, those are some of the key aspects to be thinking about when buying a property in London as a foreigner. If you'd like to learn more about each component of the buying process, make sure to subscribe to the channel, email or call us for more advice on the buying process. Bye!